Hello everybody, this is Pyra, and if you're like me, you keep seeing on YouTube, Final Fantasy XIV, is it dead? Is it dying? What is going on? The numbers are nose plummeting, and I wanted to address that in today's video, as well as kind of putting some of these claims to rest from my opinion. Of course, these are my opinions alone, but I've been playing the game for almost 10 years now, literally a decade as of this month, and I wasn't gonna initially make this video. However, I think giving my perspective is not a bad thing, especially because I am a dinosaur in 14 in 14 terms. So let's talk about it. So the most common thing I've seen is Final Fantasy XIV dying, and I will just stop you right there and say these claims happen after almost every single expansion. I've been playing the game since A Realm Reborn back in 2015, and I can tell you that pretty much after every expansion, there is a lot of this rage bait style videos that come out from a lot of creators, giving their opinions and just really kind of creating this hyped up, hyper awareness around people falling off the game. Now, this cycle, honestly, is nothing new. It is definitely different since Dawn Trail is the first expansion of its kind since the Hydaelyn Zodiark arc had taken place, but this is really not a new cycle of how many people are logging into the game or not. We've definitely seen this before. Now, like I said, I've been playing Final Fantasy XIV for 10 years, and if it's not obvious by now, I'm still in love with it. That being said, I want to be real with you. Over the years, I have taken breaks from 14 as well. I've had a couple small bursts where I did not log in at all, maybe log in once to save a house, but maybe 30 to 60 days at a time, not even touch the game. I've had a lot of spurts where I would do something called raid logging, where I'm only coming onto the game to raid with my static and then logging out and not touching the game. Sometimes it's because of content gaps or just needing a break. There have definitely been times where I've been kind of burnt out and walking away. However, the game always brings me back when new content drops and when I've kind of had some time to come up from the water and take a breath. Now, that being said, I don't think I'm alone, and I think other people will agree that we're in one of 14's seasonal downturns. This cycle happens every time, especially right after the launch of a major expansion. We're always going to get a downturn after an expansion launch because a lot of people come in for the expansion, and then once they've kind of gotten their core piece of content done, they leave. Some people leave for months or even years and then come back and forth and back and forth. And these waves of hype are always going to be followed by slower periods. Now, with these cycles as well, I think one thing that we have to remember is that Dawn Trail is probably the most unique expansion that we have seen in the past decade. Now, there are multiple things that make it unique. The first one being that it is the start of a new major plot arc. Endwalker brought us the end of the Hydaelyn Zodiark arc, and many players felt done with this type of game and with 14 and naturally moved on. There are plenty of instances during, or even before Endwalker, that a lot of people that were kind of sick of the MMO or really sick of 14 had just said that they were waiting for Hydaelyn Zodiark's story to be completed so that they could move on to different style games or different kind of less grindy games depending on people's lifestyles. And that's okay. I mean, that's really finishing one part of a major story, but a lot of people definitely stepped away from the game with that. Another thing to consider too, every time I keep seeing these articles about the numbers going down, we also saw a huge inflation of people in Shadowbringers and Endwalker with the WoW exodus. You've probably heard about it before, but WoW, World of Warcraft, there were a lot of issues. People came over and the numbers skyrocketed. It made it hard, near impossible to log into the game and to get into queue, no matter to play during the expansion launch. And that hype has died down. I've seen a lot of people who were WoW players even a lot of popular content creators that have come over from the WoW Exodus go back, which is totally normal. They kind of left, they got mad, and then they went back to kind of what they were used to and what they loved. And that is something that I think a lot of people aren't thinking about as well. Our numbers were kind of inflated. So the fact that they're going down is not a shock to me, nor a surprise. With everything else, considering Dawntrail is super unique because we are starting something new and the team is changing. So we know that some of the writing team has changed, and now is the perfect opportunity for these new writers to try their hand at something different. In general, the dev team, this is the time for them to take risks, to try new things, and to see what people like and dislike. Yoshi P said it from the beginning, and this is something that I've been preaching for a while now, that this was the expansion for them to really be a little polarizing, for them to really try a bunch of new things, because they may not get this chance again, or at least not for another 10 years. The reason for it being, if they decided to do a huge format shift in Endwalker or in Shadowbringers, I think people would have rioted. I would have rioted. I would have been pissed. And so seeing that they're kind of changing the format of who the main protagonist is, who the audience is, who the different characters are tailored to, I think this was a good time to really try those things. Because to be honest, we're not gonna have another time like this for a while. Once we start building up whatever the next story arc is, they're not gonna want to take these risks. Who would? That just sounds absolutely mental. And so I think that a lot of the qualms that come with Dawntrail will pass quickly, because honestly, it makes sense. To me, it makes sense. Do I agree with every part of the story? Do I agree with everything that has happened since Dawntrail? Absolutely not. I have problems with the story, or at least pieces of the story. I have problems with certain workflows that have come out. However, I don't see any issue with this. For me personally, it does feel like a lot of this makes sense. At least if it's not something that I fully agree with, it feels justified. It feels like it makes sense in order to make sure that this game can be here another 10, 15 plus years down the road. We really need to try new things now in order to kind of push further. Now, that being said, I will talk a little bit to the state of Dawntrail right now, the state of Final Fantasy XIV right now. And right now, I do agree that with a lot of what people are saying, which is right now we have a lot of end game content and raid content, but not much casual to mid-core content. I myself am a raider. I've done Savage since the Alexander raid series back in A1S. I do ultimates, and I'm kind of this like casual ultimate raider. However, I do endgame content. So for someone like me, I'm happy with the amount of content out there. However, I do realize that there is a lot missing, and we still haven't gotten our exploration zones or relic grinds. It has been very endgame focused, and I'm shocked and honestly a little disappointed that we haven't gotten some of these casual to mid-core pieces of content in the game currently. My theory though with this is that I think that the devs see the amount of games that are out there right now. There's a lot of games kind of competing for everybody's attention, and I think they don't want to compete. They would rather backload a lot of casual content and get people to come back later. That is just a theory, but that's kind of something that I'm thinking. I'm kind of thinking like games like Elden Ring, Baldur's Gate 3. Even though some of these games have been out for a little bit, I don't think that they want to compete and would rather kind of batch a few things up to get people excited and coming back. Now, that's obviously just a theory. Do I think it is the best way of going about content releasing? No, I don't. I do think that that leaves players in kind of an awkward limbo. However, I think that gives us opportunities right now for folks to play something else, to try some new things, or if you are a casual content type of person, maybe try a new piece of content like the Chaotic Alliance raids. I think that that on the plus side, was a good opportunity for folks coming in who have never had raiding experience before. There's a lot of challenge when it's 24 people. However, the mechanics, in my opinion, are not hard. Of course, I'm a little jaded, but I think the mechanics are fairly easy to comprehend. The damage that you need, the DPS that you need to kill the boss is fairly flexible. And I think that this also gives us opportunities to hopefully get people interested in some of those harder forms of content. Now, as far as the future of this game, we are definitely in a quieter phase, but I still think that the future of Final Fantasy XIV is pretty bright. Every time this game enters one of those slow periods, there's always going to be a flood of negative commentary. People saying that the game was never good, people saying that, oh no, things must be sucking, and everything is going down. But in reality, Final Fantasy XIV has always had these cycles. They all look different, they're all gonna have their different flavor, but truthfully, these cycles have always happened. At least in the past 10 years, I can guarantee you that they've always happened. Each time they bring some new players, and then other players draw back, and it's just kind of a wave of energy. Fresh energy. It feels stale for a minute, but then it comes back at full force. So I do definitely think that this is one of those scenarios where we will be fine. It's just waiting out the next wave. These downturns also are going to help allow the devs to focus on improvements to new content and keep the game growing and really take feedback and assess and pivot based on what everybody is saying. All in all, I say if you're taking a break right now, that's great. The game's still going to be here when you're ready to dive back in, and a lot of us are waiting for when you come back too. And a lot of us will be back in full force when we get more larger content, larger updates, and that is just something that typically happens. Now, with that in mind, are all the comments bad? Are all the comments wrong or videos wrong from creators that they're saying that there are negative things? No, I'm not saying that. Everybody has a right to their opinion. Everybody has a right to explain their frustrations with the game. I'm just giving my experience as somebody who's been here for a long time in seeing the overarching trends. And hopefully, if you are someone who is just starting to play the game, you're not scared because of this recent flood of videos and commentary. So, with all that in mind, is Final Fantasy XIV worth playing in 2025? Absolutely. To me, I think absolutely. Whether you're a new player just jumping into the game for a first time, or you're a seasoned vet like me that has seen it evolve over the years, I truthfully think that there's something to enjoy no matter what. I know me, I still have a crap ton of side quests from the past 10 years that I have to go back into. There are different classes I could delve in deeper to. There are crafting and gathering and there's just so much. To me, as somebody who also works full-time and has a lot of things that I do on the side, I don't think that there will ever be nothing in the game to do, truthfully. So I think that there's always something to find enjoyment with no matter what, or if you want to take a break and come back, I think the game will still be sticking by strong when you return. Just know that it works in cycles. Even if it feels slow, we're on the cusp of exciting things. They've said the things that they want to do. We know we're going to get an exploration zone soon. We know we're going to get Beastmaster at some point. We know we're going to get a lot of these things. We're just in a little bit of dark, especially right after the holidays with kind of timelines. But we have a lot of exciting things on the cusp. So if you're not into it right now, if it feels like if you're still on the fence, like, I don't know, it doesn't feel great right now, take a break. Come back. There's nothing wrong with that. But just know that there is a lot in the future, and don't get too scared with all of the negative feedback that has been happening as of late. And that's all I have to say regarding all of the things if Final Fantasy XIV is worth playing in 2025. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments if you're still playing or if you're thinking of returning to Final Fantasy XIV. I have been playing for a long time, so if you have any questions, definitely put them in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more Final Fantasy XIV news, content, etc., and we'll see you in game. Bye!